Welcome to St. Peter's. Good morning and happy Mother's Day. Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. I'm a book person. That may surprise some of you. So I thought in 2010, in the era of multimedia, we'd take a poll here. How many people here are book people? Ooh, okay. Yeah, all over 50. All right. How many people here are movie people? Okay. A few. All right, well, I feel like I'm in good company then. But I'm actually going to talk to you first about a movie that I thought that got it righter than the book. Several weeks ago, we were down visiting Sarah and Andrew in Washington, and we went to see Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And those of you who want to discourse about the fact that my family only sees movies that are appropriate to preteens and below, we can talk about that later. But Percy Jackson and the Olympians is about a boy who turns out to be the son of Poseidon. And there were lots of sons of the Greek gods running around, as we know, and they were heroes. But this is a modern-day story about the same sort of thing, and he ends up getting shipped off to a camp for the sons and daughters of gods and goddesses. And at one point, fairly near the beginning of the movie, where he's beginning to discover his hero powers, he's in a fight with someone, bronze swords and everything, and gets knocked down. Looks like he's out of the fight. You know, the ref is, you can see the ref kind of there counting 1, 2. He's the son of Poseidon, and he draws his strength from the water. He's lying on the edge of a creek, and in the book it's described differently and not as well. In the movie, you can see him straining, reaching, just to try to get one tip of one finger into the water. And of course, when he does, up he jumps, wins the fight, and it's great. The gospel's about the same thing. In the story today, Jesus is in Jerusalem, and he's walking past the pool of Bethesda, whatever you want to call it. And that's a pool that had the reputation for healing. You might be interested to know that the National Naval Hospital is actually in Bethesda, Maryland. It had the reputation for healing. And the way you could get healed at that pool was when the water was stirred up. If you got to the pool first, you would be healed of your infirmity. If you got to the water second, you were out of luck. There was a man there who'd been lying there in one of the porticos, one of the porches around the pool, for 38 years. For 38 years, he'd been lying there, and when the water was stirred up, he would get up, and he was infirm somehow. The stories call him a paralyzed person, but there's not any evidence that that was his particular problem. And he tries to get to the pool, but every time he tries to get to the pool, he strains to get one piece of one limb into that pool. Somebody steps down into the pool before him, and he has to wait until the next time that the pool is stirred up. And he'd been doing that for 38 years. So let's see, 38 years before the time of that healing, Caesar Augustus was elevated to the role of a demigod. He was already emperor, but now he was going to represent Rome to the people. So that was when this man had started lying by the pool of Bethsaida. 33 years before his healing, Mary met an angel in a small town in Galilee and was told that she'd bear the Son of God. The man was still lying there 5 years after he'd started lying there. 32 years before the man was healed, Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Closer than Galilee, but still pretty far from Jerusalem. 30 years before the healing, wise men from the east came to visit Jesus. Jesus was an infant, 2 years old. 20 years before the man was healed, Jesus was in Jerusalem. He was in the temple, lost, but in the temple, talking with the sages there. But he wasn't at the pool of Bethsaida, and he was still a boy. 10 years ago, Jesus was working in a carpenter shop in Galilee. 2 years before the healing, Jesus was turning water into wine in Cana in Galilee, as far away from Jerusalem as you can get in ancient Israel. And the man was still lying there. 1 year before the healing, Jesus was in Jerusalem, but not at the pool of Bethsaida. He was turning over things in the temple and chatting with Nicodemus, but he didn't go to the pool of Bethsaida. And still the man lay there. Finally, today, Jesus does come to the pool, does see the man who's been lying there now for 38 years. The man doesn't even need to get to the pool. Jesus orders him to his feet, sends him on his way. He's healed. If it hadn't been for Jesus, that man would never have been healed. He'd still be lying there, waiting, stretching out his limbs, trying to get to the pool first. Well, 1 year after the man's healing, Jesus would return to Jerusalem for the last time. He'd be betrayed, crucified, died, buried, and be resurrected. And this coming week, we're going to celebrate the Feast of the Ascension, when Jesus is going to ascend into heaven and will no longer be walking the earth. Healing at the human hands of Jesus will no longer be possible. Would that man have been waiting forever to get to the pool, to be able to stand up? No. God had been providing the miracle all the way along for 38 years. There's a gloss in the text in John that's not included in our Bible that explains a little bit more about what went on at the pool of Bethsaida. And it says that an angel of the Lord went down at certain times into the pool and stirred up the water. And whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well from whatever disease that person had. So God had been providing that miracle at the pool for 38 years, and for years before that. All the man needed was someone to move him to the pool. For 38 years, he had lain in his portico in full view as the world passed around him. And for 38 years, no one had bothered to stop. No one had bothered to help him. No one had been the miracle for him.